Howdy, everyone. Tad Stevens on the Micro Success Secrets podcast, where we focus on business, psychology, and marketing and how you can use that in your business daily and long term. Today, I am talking with Jennifer Radke, who is the CEO of the National Institute for Social Media. She is a certified social media strategist, speaker, trainer, and author. She has a master's degree in organizational leadership and puts a strong value on continuous learning and professional development. Mom of two teenagers, keeps busy at work and at home. Jennifer, how you doing today? Let me know if I missed anything.
Oh, I'm great, Ted. Thank you. No, I think you caught everything. I do and love what I do and focus on continuing education. And my kids do keep me quite busy. So that home and office thing, it's always a balance, right?
Absolutely. So just to roll into the questions, and the first one I ask, it's kind of a time travel type thought, is that if you could go back in time and change a decision that you made, be it business, life, some combination of that, if you could go back and change one, first off, would you go back and change one, or would you change it once you got there and looked at it? And if you would change it, what would you change it to?
Yeah, and actually mine doesn't have to travel back all that far. And it isn't more on the personal side, but I think we can relate it as business owners to pretty much any conversation that we have. And it really comes down to making a choice about being stubborn and digging your heels in when you're talking with somebody else, or forgiving, communicating, and moving on. And, I think all of us are faced with that choice a lot. Recently, I've had the opportunity, unfortunately, to be kind of presented with it in a very dramatic way. My father and I have been disagreeing about how to best, work my business or deal with my children. And I dug my heels in because you know what? I'm old enough. I'm smart enough. Gosh darn it. Let me do it. Right?
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, I lost him in a tragic accident just a few weeks ago, and wish we had just let all of the stupid stubbornness go and focus on what's really important, right? And that's learning from, listening to, and growing with each other. So if I have any advice in that for others, it's really take a look at when you dig your feet in, your heels in, and when you don't, and make sure it's important.
And thank you for sharing that. I'm really sorry about your loss.
Thank you.
That was very powerful, but also very relevant and very true to me. And I mean, and not to make light of that, I was thinking about it as you were talking about digging, when you first started talking about digging your heels in, from a marketing perspective for listeners listen to what Jennifer said as the message. Super important, super powerful. To move it towards more of a marketing slant, because that's what we're talking about. That's what the show's about, is that there's an old saying, and Jennifer, you may have heard this, in marketing, you can be right or you can be rich, but you can't be both. And I think I heard that from Rich Schefren. If anybody has heard of him, he's an internet marketer, been around for years and years. But I can't tell you how long I was right. I didn't make any money. But yes, super, super great advice.
I think it's relevant. Sorry, Ted, I was going to say, I think it's
go ahead.
On the marketing side too, when you think through your audience. A lot of times a marketer says, this is how we should be presenting our product or service. I know this is how we should be presenting our product.
Boy. Yeah.
Hey, get over that, man. Listen to your audience, right? Figure out what's most important. And really that is a huge life lesson for all of us across everything that we do. And I shared mine as a very, very personal example of, just let things go. But really the reality is in your business too, you don't always know the right thing because it's important what your customers care about, what your audience cares about. And so, stop digging your heels in. Take a listen.
You can be right or you can be rich.
Yep.
So let's, in kind of that vein, have you ever had something that worked out super positive in your life, and maybe a decision that you made, maybe a decision that you didn't make, or that you decided not to do something, but you look back at it and you can see your life as everything before that point and everything after that point? So do you have any one of those, or any of those, one of those, two of those, whatever, that you could share?
Yeah, I have several, but the one that is most poignant for me really is about my career. So my first 15 years of my career really was in sales leadership, and focused mostly in the higher education industry.
Okay.
In 2012, I changed roads, I changed paths. Some of it was by my design and some of it was not, right? The higher education industry was changing. I had an opportunity to leave, take a
Mm-hmm.
early leave. I did that. And of course, in the time of making those decisions, and I'm sure others on this podcast can think of their own examples, right? But during that time, I was scared to death, right? Like,
Yeah.
am I going to make a stupid choice, right? Should I be holding on to higher ed as long as I possibly can? Should I be,
Mm-hmm.
trying to find something exactly like what I did? And what I chose to do was go in a completely different direction. And I left higher ed as an industry. I went out, I started exploring, what are people doing, right? What
Mm-hmm.
are the types of jobs out there today? What fits my skill set, my passion, my abilities, right? And during that kind of evolution or exploration phase, I was blessed with the opportunity to meet and get to know the founder of the National Institute for Social Media. And I made the right choice by jumping in and becoming a part of that organization in more ways than one. I started working with the organization. I got certified as a social media strategist. That led me to starting my own consulting company. And then actually, I came back, purchased the organization, and took over as CEO. So as I look back, leaving higher ed was the best choice for me, and being open to what my life could be, what I could bring to the world. And that was a huge transition for me.
Like you said, you didn't see it while you were in the moment. And that's an important point, that you don't always see things as the super positive thing when you're in the moment, because you can't really tell, because you can't see the other side.
Absolutely. You have to really kind of just be open to the opportunities that present themselves. And then you've got to kind of take steps. So I have a dear friend, Brian Kramer, who talked to me the other day about a few things. And he's like, as I look down my list, it's either got to be a hell yes or a hell no. There is no in between. And so when we're looking for our opportunities too, we make those small incremental decisions, but we should be putting those things in that yes category, that, yeah, I want to do this. This is exciting. And that's what I opened myself up to doing. And it led me down a path I never would have expected.
And that has come up several times on this show, in that, and I mean, almost exactly what you just said is, do yes or do no, but stay away from maybe.
Yeah.
Keep it one side or the other in that scenario. Absolutely. So, which rolls into our next question. Our next topic is, as you're going through and you're coming upon these decisions, these yes, no decisions, big decisions, little decisions in between, do you get stuck? I mean, what do I do here? Oh, how do I get, I mean, for me, it is as small as writer's block when I'm,
Yeah.
developing an email sequence to put out for either myself or somebody. Do you have any tips, techniques for the big or the small ones, or all of them, that you use when you come upon that and you find yourself stuck? Okay, what do you do to get through that?
That is such a good question. And as I get older, I think it evolves a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I find that when I'm stuck, whether it's a big thing or a small thing, the first step that I really have to take is figure out why I'm stuck. Most of the time, I'm stuck because it falls in maybe, right? It's not really something I'm excited about. I don't really want to do it. I don't see the value of it, whatever the case may be. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's something that I push to the side, or I find ways to procrastinate about or not make decisions. So I think that's one thing, is really figuring out, what is making me stuck. Now, as business owners, there's a lot of things we have to do to run our business that we maybe don't love doing. And, for me, it's the books. Like, I absolutely hate bookkeeping, right? I just don't care for that. Give me statistics and data all day long, but I don't really want to put numbers in a spreadsheet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, we have to make some of those choices. Like, is my time better spent kind of hemming and hawing over it, or should I bring in an outside source to help me get rid of that thing that has to be done, but doesn't necessarily have to be done by me?
Mm-hmm.
And if it is something that has to be done by me and I still can't get kind of unstuck, the second thing that I do is I go to a trusted advisor. We should all have professional and personal kind of circles of influence or advisors that we can pull from and say, hey, Tad, I'm stuck here. I need some help. Or Susie,
Mm-hmm.
I can't get past this. What have you done in situations like that? And so it really is being vulnerable enough to reach out to those advisors and ask those questions.
Yep.
Also about taking the time to really set up that circle of influence and make sure you have that support system.
Yeah, and that is super important as well. I'm glad you mentioned that. Is it's not going to set itself up. That's another thing that you have to go out and you have to cultivate and have it there for, so when you need it. Okay, so next question is, knowing what you know now, based on where you've been, what your experiences, what you bring to the table, so to speak. If you, for whatever reason, had to start over, maybe you moved to another state, another country even, and you had to start, what would you do?
It's a really great question, because there's a part of me that says, I'm not sure that I would do much differently. The experiences that I bring or have had, right, make me kind of who I am. So if I think about it from the, clean slate perspective, what would I do differently? I'm not sure that I would. Now, if I had to relocate and keep my business going, there's not a whole lot of shifts that I would have to make personally either, because I have done a great job, I believe, of building an online network that is pretty diverse and across the globe. Some things that I would need to do is kind of goes back to that very first question, and it's about listening. I'd have to listen to the audience in that given location and make sure that I was still in alignment and offering them what they needed from me or from my organization, because that can change, right? I'm based here in the US. Social media is big, marketing is big, certification is valuable. That may not be the case if I were in South Africa, right? I might need to focus differently on how to support people there. And so if I were forced to start over, I'd start with listening and make sure that I was still in alignment with what was needed. But as far as, building my circle, building my online connections, man, I get to bring those with me. And so I don't feel like I lost anything.
Okay. And that reminds me of a saying I heard one time, especially when you talk about, and again, I think this is super important and super valuable for listeners, is listening. Listen to what your market is saying. Listen to what your prospects are saying, because you can't sell milk at the hardware store.
Right.
The hardware store does not sell milk. I mean, if you put milk in there, you're not going to sell a lot. So do listen. And I mean, let's close with that, because that is probably one of the best pieces of advice that, as a marketing person, or as really any business person, listen to what your clients, your customers, your prospects are saying. So thank you very, very much, Jennifer. Really appreciate your time today. Is there anything that you want to close with? Anything that you can offer or want to offer the listeners that they may benefit from?
Yeah. So first, Tad, I want to thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure to talk about these things. I do have a gift that I'd like to make available to anybody who's listening. We created a book called Stories from the Social Side. It's got 30 plus authors, mostly from marketing and social media, where
Mm-hmm.
they're giving their advice and expertise to other professionals in the space. It's an anthology collection, and I'd love to give
Awesome.
away copies of our ebook.
Oh, that would be awesome. That, and yes, I mean, definitely that fits right in with the theme of the podcast. So that is an awesome gift. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. So folks can check out the link that you'll put in the notes and use the podcast title, The Micro Success Secrets, in
Mm-hmm.
order to get their free copy of the ebook.
Okay, and I'll make sure all of that information instructions are in the show notes and wherever we happen to post it, the video and audio. So again, Jennifer, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for listening in again. Have a safe and productive week and be the very, very best at whatever you are doing. So until next time, this is Tad Stevens with Micro Success Secrets. Bye for now.